there was no accurate data source for what kind of internet options were available at a home. And so we've been on a mission to change that. And so we've been going basically door to door to these internet providers, especially the local and regional internet providers that serve a lot of the more suburban and rural markets, and trying to get that address level data to say, okay, these are the homes that have fiber to the home internet. And that is the fastest, most reliable internet that exists. Experts agree it's future proof, meaning it's ready to scale up as bandwidth demands grow. And so we're really excited to be able to bring that data to the real estate industry and to homebuyers as well.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli, and today my guest is Kaleigh Cox, who is the Vice President of Business Development for Fiber Homes. And I cannot wait for you guys to get the story on Fiber Homes and how they have partnered with Triangle MLS. It is awesome. So welcome, Kaleigh. How are you?
Thanks so much, Matt. I'm doing great, and I'm really happy to be here today.
Well, Triangle's been doing tons of integrations with different data providers. And I don't think that there are any that we've looked at that are more exciting and more meaningful than this one. To steal a bit of data that you shared with me before the recording, apparently there's a statistic that homeowners are willing to pay upwards of 5% more for a home that has fiber. That statistic is so meaningful to agents and brokers, members of Triangle MLS. And I can't wait to hear more about that. And, let's start by tell everybody what the heck is a fiber homes.
So a fiber home is a home that we have been able to certify as one that has fiber to the home internet. And before we started Fiber Homes, there was no address level data source for this. Internet providers have had to report to the FCC which census blocks they serve, but that publicly available data is always a couple years behind. And on top of that, in order to claim a census block, the internet provider only has to serve a minimum of one home in that census block. So it still wasn't completely accurate. If a house down the street was reached by the network, that census block would be claimed. And so there was no accurate data source for what kind of internet options were available at a home. And so we've been on a mission to change that. And so we've been going basically door to door to these internet providers, especially the local and regional internet providers that serve a lot of the more suburban and rural markets, because they have often been overlooked by reseller sites for a variety of reasons. But going not just to the big guys, but also the little guys, and trying to get that address level data to say, okay, these are the homes that have fiber to the home internet. And that is the fastest, most reliable internet that exists. Experts agree it's future proof, meaning it's ready to scale up as bandwidth demands grow. And so we're really excited to be able to bring that data to the real estate industry and to homebuyers as well.
Cool. Well, it's obviously really powerful anywhere across the country, but particularly in the Triangle, where we have lots of people working at home, telecommuting, and high-speed internet is just obviously at a premium for all of us these days. So tell me about how long the integration has been in place with Triangle, and maybe you could share with us some of the data around that.
Yeah, so we went live with Triangle last summer. So we're filming this in February of 24. So that was summer of 23. And I'm just going to pull up my searches here. Since we integrated then, and I will stop to say how that integration works. This initial rollout with Triangle MLS is a screen in the agent flow when they're adding listings. They can view our results and then add them to their listings. And so since we turned that on in the summer, we have seen about 381,000 hits across 126,000 unique addresses, roughly 60,000 hits a month since we turned it on. And Triangle was one of the first to integrate with us, particularly one of the biggest early on to integrate with us. Fiber Homes started in February of 22. And so, being able to integrate with you guys directly over the summer meant that agents didn't have to hear about Fiber Homes, which is a free tool, but we didn't have to get the word out to all of the agents in the Triangle area that this data and this tool is available to them, because now it's right there at their fingertips when they're adding listings, and it's really easy for them to get that data. And then, you guys have some really cool ideas coming down the pipeline. Matt Fowler has been talking about with us in terms of, working on a public facing site so that ultimately home buyers or agents could even filter for homes with fiber, just like they would number of bedrooms or number of bathrooms. So there's still room to grow with this, and I'm really excited about that. But already, even with just kind of this first stage of the rollout, it's really been a very popular tool.
Yeah, obviously it makes total sense that, but the next stage would be to where you could just do your home search, whether it's the agent doing the searching or the homeowner doing the searching, and filter out everything besides fiber homes if that's what if that's critically important to your work or your lifestyle or whatever. Tell me more about the suburban and rural stuff. I was a little bit surprised to hear you say that. And I live in a suburban or rural area, and so particularly get that struggle where usually you have limited internet access for sure. So tell me about that dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting situation in suburban and rural markets, because you had a lot of people moving, and you've seen this even in your area, out of urban centers into more suburban and rural markets on the fringes because of the rise of remote work and the rise of home costs in those urban centers. So you had people moving out a little bit from the center of cities. And what happened is when they got there, the internet options vary wildly. So if you're in a city, you buy a home with the assumption that you're going to be able to get some pretty decent internet there. There have been exceptions that have made headlines, but for the most part, if you're in a city center, you'll probably assume and probably won't get burned by that assumption, that you're going to have good internet. But when you move out to these smaller towns and more rural areas, that you may have terrible internet. You may just have access to like 25 down, 3 up, which many argue shouldn't even be considered broadband anymore. Or you may have access to the very best internet in the country, fiber internet with gig speeds up and down. Because what we've seen is we've got rural telephone cooperatives and electric cooperatives, the ones who built and brought services, telephone and electric services, to communities that the big companies wouldn't serve, say 100 years ago. Those are the companies now doing that same thing with internet, or even small or regional family-owned businesses or privately owned businesses. There's a variety, but they're going into these more rural and suburban markets and building networks in places that the national providers didn't see as worth their time or their money. And then on top of that, you layer in all of the funding coming down from the federal government post-COVID to bridge the digital divide. And there is now funding to build out networks in these areas. So it's there, but it's in pockets. And so it's really important for a home buyer to be able to know before they, make an offer on a house, whether their home is covered by an existing network or not.
Mhm. Well, so tell me if you can about what the expectations are over the next 3 to 5 years. Right now it's probably still very spotty, but can you speak to that at all in terms of, when we can expect kind of ubiquitous coverage of fiber,
Oh.
or anything from here to there? I didn't realize that may
Million
be a
dollar
bridge too far.
question.
Yeah, that may be a bridge too far.
It's not that the question's unreasonable. It's just that it's a hotly contested topic, because that would be the goal of a lot of the government funding right now, is to get, if not total fiber coverage, then as close as we can reasonably get. We're a large company, a large country, with a very wide variety of geographies and things like that. So but that's the goal. Now, there are people much smarter than me still trying to figure out how effective these funding programs are going to be at reaching that goal. So I won't put myself on the level of assuming to know, but I would say there are a lot of companies working toward that end, a lot of funding going towards that end. I hope to see that. If I'm just, I would love to see that happen in the next 10 or 15 years, but it's a hotly contested opinion, unfortunately, which is why until that happens, it's so important for agents and home buyers to be able to know where it's already happened, where that fiber
Absolutely.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we've talked about the integration with Triangle, but tell me more and tell the members more about what they can expect if they go directly to your website, what's there now and what's coming.
Yeah, yeah. So if they go to fiberhomes.com, anyone can search an address right on the homepage and see an initial result, like a quick result, and then run a full broadband property report, which has the best data available in terms of what's available at the address. And we do clarify on those reports whether it was confirmed at the address, meaning the internet provider gave us that address as one they serve, or if it's been reported in the area. Either the data we have is census block level, or the data we have is zip+4, zip code +4, things like that. We put in kind of confirmed in the area and then make a note to check with the provider to confirm availability. But anyone can run a broadband property report for any address without creating an account of any kind. We don't need your email address, your credit card. Then we also have a pro portal for real estate agents and professionals. It's also free. There is no upgrade. We don't have a way to even request payment information. But if you create a free pro portal account, what you'll see is that tool is very easy. It's very mobile first, so easy to keep saved on your mobile device. Insert any address either as a buyer's agent showing a home or a listing agent selling the home. Now, if it has, at the very least, we're going to give you the property report for that address. But if it's an address that one of our Fiber Homes Pro partners, one of our internet providers, fiber providers, has certified and said, this is a home we serve. In many cases, they have sponsored additional materials for the agent. That might be a landing page with kind of an exclusive new mover promo that the agent can pass on to their home buyer. Or on the listing agent side, we actually create a toolkit of listing materials, real door hangers and rack cards for open houses, sign writers and yard signs for in front of the home, and then a Fiber Homes badge and or a QR code that can just be put in with photos of the home. So our goal there is to help listing agents leverage that stat you talked about, where 4.9% value, agent or home buyers are willing to pay 4.9% more for homes with fiber. So we want to help them talk about that in their listings so they can help sell homes faster and for more money. So those additional materials are available at no cost through the Pro Portal for kind of sponsored addresses.
Wow, that's really cool. So the door hanger is a design that I can print and use in my listing. Is that right? Stuff like that.
That's right.
Really cool that you guys do that. And I think, knowing that stat, all agents should be thinking, man, I am going to know for sure whether fiber is available and I'm going to promote it if that is the case. So what else do we need to know, Kaleigh, about fiber and about, what's coming down the pike in that arena? If you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so without getting too in the weeds on the technology, I do just want to take a second to explain why we spotlight fiber. Because, in reality, I am currently on a copper coax connection, and it's getting the job done. But if I had my husband and multiple kids in the house trying to do a lot at the same time, I'm not sure that my internet could withstand that. So fiber has just much greater capacity, much faster speed. That's much more reliable in all conditions. It's also a designated line to my house. So you may notice on other technologies that when everyone gets home around 5:30 and gets online, your internet slows. And it's because the entire, multiple houses or the street is kind of sharing bandwidth. But with fiber to your home, that's not the case. So you're not impacted by what your neighbors are, doing in the same way. So we just have really wanted home buyers and real estate agents to understand that it's important now, but it's going to be even more important, to answer your question, as technology develops, because we are just barely getting started with virtual reality, augmented reality tools. So many industries have not even begun to tap into what the internet is going to enable them to do in customers' homes beyond just viewing their website. And so the ability to use the tools that we can't even dream of yet, but that are coming in 10, 15, 20 years, that's going to require bandwidth far beyond what other technologies provide. And so when you're a home buyer and you're thinking about a long-term investment, whether it's because you want to live in it for decades or you plan to sell it to someone else who's going to want to live in it in 10 or 15 or 20 years, fiber is where you want to be, looking.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for all the information. I know that everybody at Triangle is incredibly excited about this new partnership. So, Kaleigh, we really appreciate it. And you've already told us all to check out fiberhomes.com. Anything else that you want to tell us and our members specifically to take a look at?
I would just say be on the lookout for communications from Matt Fowler, because there are also ways we can get this information onto your agent on your website as a real estate agent. So if you're wanting to incorporate this in your personal website, talk to Matt Fowler, let us know and we can support that. So we're excited to be a part of Triangle MLS. It's a very forward-thinking MLS. Thank you to you and your team for partnering with us and for having me on today. I've really enjoyed being here.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaleigh. We'll see you back here soon. And everybody, thanks so much for listening in to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. We'll see you here next time.